Let's dig into some overarching best practices for social media before we dig into the specific platforms. We're going to cover Facebook, both a profile and pages, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and some of the specific best practices and tips for each of those platforms. But before we do that, let's talk at a high level. Rules of engagement on social. The whole point is engaging with other people. Please be sure that you are liking and commenting, replying when people comment on your posts. That's really the whole point of this. So just be very intentional about what you do and be sure to engage with people that engage with you. Using a clear call to action is super important. Social media has never been noisier, and it's really hard to get people's attention. It's really important that you're super intentional and clear about what you're asking people to do. And just posting useful and interesting content. This is not as hard as it sounds. People tend to overthink this. Just posting relevant articles, commenting on, other people's posts with something interesting or something to add, or hey, I read this interesting article about that the other day, or my brother-in-law does that, he's tagged here. Any of those things are just really great ways to be more engaging on social media. And ultimately having a strategy, and also not overthinking that strategy. Each platform's a little bit different. You can't be an expert at all of them. If you have one or two that you really like and you're really better at, stick to those, delete the other accounts. It's fine, but you should definitely have a bit of a strategy for each, or not have a strategy on each, which is not doing them. Coming from contribution is also really important. It's more important than ever to not be super salesy, provide good information, and that will attract people. It will create inbound leads from you, people who are interested in talking to you instead of just being like a salesman online. Some of the other topics to think about are the content of your posts. Images and video are much easier to get people's attention than a really long paragraph. So thinking through your content, again, maybe an overarching strategy where you just got a little bit of a plan around the content. Obviously, Instagram is more picture focused. Facebook allows you to, have links to other articles that pull in other pictures, or you can swap out those pictures. And being aware of the frequency of your posts. Some people are really, really active, and that's fine, and that's part of their strategy. Some people just log in periodically, but just being mindful of the frequency of your posts. Using hashtags, which we'll dig into a bit more on some of the specific platforms, but hashtags are basically when you use the pound or number sign in front of some characters, alphanumerical characters. You can't have spaces or punctuation, but other than that, hashtags are basically a way to index posts, in the sense that if I were to use the hashtag Atlanta, if I posted something about Atlanta, for one, it helps other people find me because some people are following those hashtags. I can use that hashtag or click on that hashtag or search it to find other people posting with the hashtag to engage with them or their posts. And then also, we have actually a section on this, a lesson on this in this course, using tools like Buffer or Hootsuite to schedule posts. It's really important that you still engage with the posts, but scheduling posts to go out is something that I definitely recommend in order to be a little more consistent, especially with business things. If you're posting fun stuff as you're out and about, on the go, that's great. But to be more intentional with your business, just scheduling a post, even if it's once a week or even less, is a great way to make sure that you're consistent with your message, your content, and your frequency. Some general tips for posting. Have a clear call to action. We're going to go through some specific calls to action later in this lesson, but it's just really important that you have a really clear call to action and say what you're asking people to do. Think about your link. Don't send people over to Zillow. You're making leads for other agents. If you send people to Realtor.com, they're going to become a lead for another agent. If you're sending people off to other sites that are about real estate, they are probably not going to end up working with you because they're going to have 10 other agents calling them. So think about the links that you're posting. Come from contribution. I know I already mentioned that, but it's really, really important that you're there to bring value and not just be salesy. And also to demonstrate that you're an expert. It's one thing to say you're an expert, but to truly give good advice and post knowledgeable things, comments, just really it demonstrates that you're an expert versus just saying, hey, I'm a real estate expert. And being fun, personable, and unique. It's really important to let your personality shine through. People that know you will know if your posts don't seem like they're you or something that you would say. So be yourself. Do post personal stuff, probably more than real estate. I know there's a couple of schools of thought on this. And I also know people ask me all the time, how often, how many, every third post or 1/3 real estate, 1/3 personal, and 1/3, other stuff. I don't think there's any magical solution. I think it ties to your personality, it ties to your strategy. And frankly, if you have decent content to post, don't just post because it says it's 1/3 or because it's Tuesday. Post interesting things. One of the best things about social media is that you're gonna be connected to other people. So find some people that you think do a really good job or seem interesting to you. Follow them, engage with them. Some of them might even tell you what their strategy is if you reach out and connect with them. Just watching what other people do that you think is successful or interesting can really inspire you to come up with great content. And join some groups and participate, whether they're real estate or community groups or just something else that you're interested in, a hobby. But just being engaged in groups is a great way to connect with more people. And they're gonna click on your profile. If you seem interesting and post good stuff, they're gonna click on your profile and check you out. We'll cover this in some of the specific lessons later on each platform, but be sure that your profile or your bio says what you do and how to get in touch with you. And also liking and commenting on others' posts and pictures, engaging in conversation, or giving referrals and recommendations publicly. You have to teach people how to send you referrals. And if you're publicly giving referrals or recommendations to people, you'll start to see people turn around and do the same for you. And also engaging in conversation. Make sure that you're not talking at people, but you're welcoming their feedback, their comments, you're engaging back with them when they do comment. I don't think I could overstate that. I'll probably say it 10 times here, but it's just really important. It's the whole point of what we're doing here on social media. And also, please do not mass invite your contacts to anything. I know LinkedIn was really common for this to happen. I've seen a lot less of it lately, but no one wants to have you email 1,000 people and say, hey, join my network. That's just not a good practice. Add them one by one. Ideally, add a personal note that says, hey, we met at this event, or we have a mutual friend in so-and-so. But definitely not mass inviting, or honestly doing anything in bulk is just not a good practice. So let's look at some specific calls to action. These are pretty relevant to most platforms with one quick caveat. The easiest one is just click to learn more. If you post something that's interesting in a link or an article, sometimes it's good to just say click to learn more. I realize that people know a lot of times that those are links if they come up like that. But just being really clear with your intention. Call or text me at, and then putting in a cell phone number or a work number is a really powerful, easy call to action. If you'd like to learn more, call or text me at my cell phone number. If you'd like more pictures, you'd like to set up a tour, whatever that is. And similarly, DM or direct message me for more info. It's amazing how well this works. If you just try it, just on your next post, put in something and say, DM me for more info. You'll be amazed that people actually will DM you for more info. Another good call to action is stop by. Be aware of privacy concerns with this, but if you're holding an open house, hey, stop by, let's talk real estate. I'll be here from 2 to 5. Stop by my office, I'm here until 4. I've seen some really interesting people post things like, hey, I'm working at Starbucks today, I'll be here until 4. If you want to talk about real estate or just ask me questions or just say, hey, I'll be here until 4. I think that's a really great, interesting one that has not yet been overused. Tag a friend is a great one. Tag a friend who might like to see this house. Be careful with getting somebody to get somebody else to become a lead for you. But tag a friend who might like this kitchen, or tag a friend who did a remodel last year and wants to tell their story, or just anything like that. But just being very intentional in what you're asking for. Asking a clear question. Which kitchen do you like better, A or B? Would you live here? Things like that. Just a really clear question where people can give you a quick yes or no, or an A or a B type of answer is great. The goal is to start engagement while reminding them that you sell real estate. And you don't have to always remind them that you sell real estate, but just post clear questions, what you want people to do. And you should also post fun stuff that you do, or pictures of things that are not real estate. But I would also be sure to have a good, clear call to action. Hey, does this look interesting? Hey, would you live here? Or this is my hobby. What's your hobby? Or what are some crazy things that you go do with your family? People love that, and it's interesting. It's not just sales stuff. It's not just to generate business or generate leads, but it's actually interesting and shows that you are an interesting person and a real human being. One quick caveat to some of this is that Instagram does not allow links in the posts unless they are paid ads. That's why you'll see a lot of times people say link in bio. There's a couple of things you can do here. If your website has a lot of great content on it, you can just put in your website in your bio, and then most of the things that you want to drive people to will be on your site. So if it's a blog post, then you can say, hey, link in bio, and they go to your website, or link in bio to search homes in our area. There's also a platform called Linktree that's free up to a certain number of links, where you can put that link in your bio, and that allows you to have multiple links, almost like buttons. That is a very mobile friendly way that you can have multiple links. So every post can say link in bio, even if you do have multiple links. Those are the basics of overarching best practices for social media. Now we're going to dig a little bit more into some of the specific platforms.